They are going to turn on him. Republicans are going to turn on this orange criminal buffoon. At least I believe they will. The question in my mind is when and to what degree. Now, as to the when, it's really already started to happen. We're already seeing it. I've been talking about this for weeks. There are examples of people turning on Trump already. Not many in the political class, and there's a reason for that, which is going to be the point of this video. I'm going to get to an article here in a second. But you are seeing it more among his supporters. We've seen actual polling on this that I brought to you within the last week or two. It was in that Gallup poll, I believe, that came out almost 2 weeks ago now, I guess. That showed Trump lost 7 points in approval among Republicans. Now, he's still at 84, he's still high, and I wouldn't expect that to be anything different at this point. But that is down from 91% just a month earlier. And there's another poll, maybe it was the same poll, I'm not sure. All these polls are running together in my head right now. But there's another poll about the economy. And it was like 37% of Republicans said that the cost of living, now I'm right about the numbers, I just don't remember which poll it was, but 37% of Republicans said that the cost of living is the worst it has ever been in their lifetimes. 37% of Republicans. Now, maybe some of them are still, clinging to the it's Joe Biden's fault crap, but I don't even think they even believe that. But the point is, it's already happening. And if you follow these MAGA loons, on social media and things, more and more, and we've been talking about this here the last couple of weeks, they are turning on this guy. He's done a lot of things that has pissed him off. He still is able to rally them back around him, depending upon what's going on in the news. If he can effectively pick some fight with Democrats or whatever, they'll always rally around him to own the libs. But more and more, they are pissed off at him. The Epstein thing got the ball rolling, but Epstein isn't the only thing. He's done a lot. I mean, policy things that he's come out with, 50-year mortgages, that pissed them all off a lot. You don't hear much about that anymore, right? They dropped that pretty damn quick. But a lot of things. They see that his policies are geared, for the oligarch class. And that's another thing that they're complaining about. They see how he is selling out to Qatar, and they don't like this shit. And more of them are not biting their tongues anymore. They're speaking out. This Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, that's a big deal. That is causing a big rift. And now you have her. After all the death threats and everything, apparently she's like, fuck it. She went on 60 Minutes and she went right after Trump. She's attacking him from the MAGA right, calling him the establishment, calling him the deep state. Right now, that's a fault line. Now, a lot of MAGAs are siding with him, but there's a good number of MAGAs who are siding with her. You got Nick Fuentes out there. I did a video about that a few days ago. Ripping Trump. And there's more and more and more of them. I've got a video, actually, that I'll play for you here in a minute of Steve Bannon, and a guest on Steve Bannon's show, talking about how he's losing support among the MAGA base. Anyway, so it's happening. It's happening among his regular base supporters. Now, it's not happening too much yet among the political class, but there's a reason for that. Now, the timing for them, and look, they're never all going to abandon him. Each one has different political considerations, but for most of them, it's a political consideration. Most Republicans in Congress hate this guy. They do not like him at all. They wish he wasn't president. They wish he would have been convicted in that second impeachment trial. They wish that he had been prosecuted and sent to prison. They don't want him in their lives. He is a huge problem for them. Now, there are some MAGA cultists who have gotten elected And so there are some actual members of his cult in Congress, but most of them are not. Most of them hate this fucking guy. So when are they going to turn? Well, I've mentioned this before, but now there's someone else saying the same thing. So I like when I'm validated by other people. So this was, who is this saying this? Jonathan Martin. Let me read a little of this article for you. Republican Party insiders have a precise date in mind for when more party members, sick of the daily humiliation that Trump puts them through, will finally break with President Trump, according to Politico's politics bureau chief, Jonathan Martin. Martin made an appearance on Morning Joe the other day where he was pressed about the recent high-profile instances of Republicans in Washington abandoning the party or breaking with Trump on key issues. By the way, we had this article from Puck News the other day where they talk about how there's 20 or more Republicans in Congress who are going to be announcing their retirement in the next couple of weeks because they can see the writing on the wall. If things continue this way, and there's no reason to believe that they won't, Republicans are going to lose big time in the midterm elections. And right now they only have what? A three vote majority in the House. And if the blue wave is big enough, as it looks like it may very well be, they could lose the Senate too. But they're certainly, if things keep going this way, going to lose the House pretty big. And when that happens, of course, Republicans are going to be in the majority. But all it's going to be in the House for 2 years, the final 2 years of Trump's term, is investigations into Trump's corruption and his criminality and his constitutional violations. And hopefully there will be impeachment. And Republicans are going to be faced with the prospect of not only being in the minority, but having to every single day for 2 years defend this piece of shit that most of them hate. And rather than do that, a lot of them are saying, forget it, we're out. I don't want to be a part of this. So, bad news for Trump. Anyway, back to this article. The well-connected bureau chief. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to read this friggin' article. Here's when he says that Republicans are going to abandon Trump. We're talking here about the political class, elected Republicans. And that is once the primary filing deadline passes. If they don't have a primary challenger, then they will be free to turn on Trump. Now, the degree to which they're going to turn is going to depend upon their individual district. Donald Trump is dragging them down. I mean, Democrats are so overperforming that even what had been considered safe Republican seats are at risk of going blue. And unless these Republicans are in a really, really plus 20 Trump district, they may be in a position where they have to turn on him, at least to some degree. And if they are in a really close district, they're probably going to have to turn on him big time in order to win a general election. But they've got a fucking problem here. So first, to Martin's point, and this is what I've said before, is that, Trump's big weapon that he has to keep Republicans in line is fear of being primaried. That's the first thing he always does. When he turns on one of these Republicans, when he gets pissed off, he demands a primary challenge, right? That's what he did to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a traitor. I want her primaried. He does that to Thomas Massie. He does it to any Republican who steps out of line. He threatens to primary them. And that's what they're all afraid of. They're scared to death of being primaried by a Trump-backed MAGA primary challenger. Okay? So they want to stay on his good side. They can't speak out against him at all. They can't criticize him at all until the filing deadline for the primary is passed. And Trump can't get a primary challenger against him. So that's the key date that Martin here is talking about. They're just waiting until the primary deadline has come and gone. Then they will have freedom to be able to criticize him. And again, but then it's going to depend on the district how much they can. Because if they don't want to alienate Trump voters too much either, because they need them to get elected. It depends upon the makeup of the district. And so this is the problem they're in. Because Donald Trump is so incredibly unpopular, and he probably will be even more so by the time of the election. They have to distance themselves from him. But if they criticize him too much, or if they distance themselves too much from him, they run the risk of pissing off his MAGA base, who might just not show up and vote at all. So they're really kind of screwed. And so again, the degree to which they will break from him will depend on the makeup of their district and how, whatever. So you get the point. What else did I want to talk about here? And there's other articles. I had another article today. I'm freezing, so I need to wrap this shit up. Another article I came across: Republican unity crumbles as America's mood sours. Another one here: Democratic Party registration is up, Republican Party registration is down. Independents are like solidly against Trump. I mean, everything is bad for this guy politically. So bad so that even Steve Bannon is covering this. So why don't you take a look at this video? This is Steve Bannon talking with some guy about how even MAGA voters are turning on Trump. Watch this.
Hang on, slow down. Don't bury the lead, because Jack Posobiec wrote a book that we published at War Room called Unhumans. One of the central characters in this book is General Franco. Did I just hear you say, Mark Mitchell, that they're looking for their Franco, and they don't think Trump has turned out to be that? What do you mean? To explain to the audience, we got a minute here, and I'm holding through the break. What do you mean by that? They're because I know Mediaite and Media Matters are going to have a total vapor lock right now when Mark Mitchell, the pollster, particularly for young MAGA, is sitting there saying they're looking for their Franco. Sir.
Well, you poll, and then sometimes you read people's responses. And I got a lot of DMs from disaffected MAGA people who are like, what is going on? This is not what we voted for. And one of them said, I thought Trump was going to be our Franco. Now, I can't get into Spanish history, but the idea is that you have like an even-handed dictator essentially restore order and return the republic. We're looking around, and Donald Trump, in my opinion, ran very heavily on drain the swamp, reform government, usher in a golden age. Well, that means fixing the systems that have failed us. And this gets back to where you started. The system is failing everybody, and any communication and any action that is not single-threadedly attacking those two main problems is going to, unfortunately, I think, tank Donald Trump's numbers, because, he lost his Democrat crossovers, then he lost his independents, he lost a lot of them with Epstein. But just now, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's losing Republicans now. He had a 53% Republican strong approval, lowest of his term, not where you'd want it to be. And all of a sudden, Republican right direction gave up the 70 handle. It's in the mid-60s now. And so he needs to recover.
Now, the fact that Steve Bannon would have on his show somebody who's going to talk about Trump losing the support of his base, what does that tell you? It tells you that these people are panicking. Okay, they're not all as stupid as Donald Trump is. Okay, Donald Trump lives in a fucking bubble. He exposes himself only to ass kissers. So when he says, he'll tell you that I've never had higher poll numbers. And you're like, nobody believes this. Everybody knows that that's bullshit. I don't know. I don't know if he knows that it's bullshit or not. He doesn't consume any news sources, I doubt, that's going to report accurate polls. He only goes to places that report phony polls that have him up like 30% or whatever. Okay, so he sees bullshit polls that tell him he's the most popular president ever, right? That his poll numbers have never been higher. And who's going to tell him different? Is there somebody inside the White House who's going to go to him, hey, Mr. President, you're doing really bad in the polls? Who's going to do that? They're going to be out on their ass. Now, he knows to some degree what's going on, because he's out there. Did you see him last night talking about, he did this cult rally where he's supposed to be talking about affordability, but he's just crazy, racist, sexist, typical Trump cult rally. And the extent to which he discussed affordability at all was to call it a hoax. Anyway, more on that in a second. But, so I guess to some degree he knows that it's all bullshit, but they're not all as stupid as Trump is. Steve Bannon knows what's going on out there. This other guy who was talking to Bannon knows what's going on out there. So why are they doing it? This is their way of saying, Trump, please, we're getting killed. talk about affordability, talk about this, talk about that. That's not going to go well. He's not going to talk about affordability in the way that's going to help him and Republicans. He is just not able to do that because he was supposed to solve that on day one. He's not going to admit failure. He's going to double down on this is a hoax. And anytime he picks a course, like a strategy, and he gets any pushback on it, it just makes him double down on it even more. So you guys telling him, and I see some Republicans doing this, telling him that this message is not going to work, that's only going to make him do it even more. So he's going to deny that it's a problem, and he's going to try to change the subject. So we're going to invade Venezuela. We just seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. Maybe we go to war with Canada or invade Greenland or something. Plus you got the Epstein documents coming out. So or at least some of them. I mean, let's face it, the cover-up's going to continue. He's not going to allow, and Pam Bondi will not release anything that actually implicates him in anything or implicates any people who could then turn on Trump if they have the goods on Trump. Anyway, okay, my hands are freezing. Okay, the point is, Bannon knows they're in deep friggin' trouble. Republicans in Congress know they're in deep friggin' trouble. Trump is a moron. They're not all morons. They can read the polls. They can see the generic congressional ballot that shows them losing by like double digits to Democrats on the generic congressional ballot. They can read the tea leaves. They can see where this is going. They're going to get wiped the fuck out. And they are going to have to. If they want to win, if they want to have any chance of being reelected, they are going to have to turn on him to some degree. They are going to have to criticize him. And what's that going to do? You think Trump is a big enough person to say, okay, I know I'm unpopular. I need to give these Republicans the space to be able to criticize me, you know, in order to get reelected? No, he's not going to stand for that. That's going to further exacerbate this MAGA civil war. It's going to get ugly. 2026, I mean, it's already happening. It's already been happening, but the 2026 is going to be the year when you were really going to see the MAGA implosion. It is going to happen big time. It's probably going to start early in the new year, and it's only going to get worse with each passing day. And then after the midterms, if God willing, this continues and Republicans lose big in the midterms, oh boy, that's going to be friggin' awesome. The implosion's going to be in full swing. It's going to be great. Okay, enough said. I'm going in. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon.